Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA. I'm KISMA, and today's episode is how to listen to your energy. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and KISMA, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set.
Well, hello there, Nick.
Hey, KISMA.
We're talking about energy. We talk about energy a lot, but today's a little bit special. What is it in particular when you say, listen to the energy?
I think I'm saying listen to your energy maybe because just I tend to think of things in sound.
Oh, you do?
You know?
Mm-hmm. Being a musician and all.
Yeah, with all that background. But it really is to sense or perceive it in your own way. Mm-hmm. And to be more attuned to it.
Yeah, I think that's important too, for everyone's own way of how they're going to feel, hear, know their energy. So talk a little bit about why it's important to listen to your energy, to know it, to understand it.
It's because the energy is what always comes first.
Wait, what do you mean the energy always comes first?
So we have thoughts or we have emotions. We have ideas, we have all these different things, but behind and preceding any one of those things is an energy first. And when you are more attuned to that, more keenly aware, you can go straight to the heart of the matter and not get all twisted up in your mind or in your emotions or confused or overwhelmed with ideas. Or stuck for ideas. You can get beyond all of those things way more quickly when you just deal with the energy. Mm-hmm.
Can you give an example?
A great example is when you all of a sudden are having a conversation in your head. I was just driving down here and there was a lady who was driving just not like a really mindful human.
Was she a lousy driver?
She was, I don't think she was a lousy driver. She was just not behaving nicely. Present. She's passing on the shoulder and then she's in the wrong lane and cutting people off to get into her lane. And then she's tailgating everybody.
A little agitated.
Driving, it's like you can just see, and it's a very, it's just not a nice way of driving. So I'm behind this person and, just kind of observing what she's doing. Now, all of us have been in a situation where somebody does something stupid in traffic or dangerous. And when you start to get into that story in your head, what's wrong with this person? You build a story around them.
Rage, yeah.
You look at the car she's driving, she was driving a Lexus. It's really easy to go into oh, it's just some entitled driver, it's really easy to build a story. You're oh, look at that person. They're not paying attention to anything. No wonder your car's all dented up.
Yeah.
You can make all these stories around these things. Well, by the time it gets there, all of that energy that preceded it is in your thoughts. And it's got a hook and a hold in a conversation that's spinning into itself that is not productive, right? This is a driver who is not either not paying attention or not caring or just not being safe. Okay, great. Steer clear. Right? There's no need to have any other conversation around that.
Vortex of negative thoughts around it.
Yeah. What are you really going to accomplish with that? Nothing. So by the time it's in the thoughts, you're wasting all this thought energy and headspace around this certain thing. That's when it was there in the energy first.
Yeah.
Right? It was there in the energy the moment you see that person kind of creep up and pass you on the shoulder. It's okay, I know who that is. But when you get it into the thoughts, then now you have another level of the problem to deal with. And then the mind takes hold, like we talked about last week.
Right.
The mind takes hold and then builds a story around it. And now you're into all these things. And then if you don't check that, now, before you know it, you're having an emotional response, and then you're in road rage.
Right.
And you can short circuit all of it when you just understand that when you see and can sense and perceive the energy right off the bat.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what to do about this? How to develop, I should ask how to develop this seeing, knowing, hearing of the energy.
Well, I don't know that it's not something that people really need to develop as much as it is to really pay attention to.
Because it's already there.
It's already there. Everything's already energy. It's not like a new thing, right? So you've already been dealing with this and working with it and working within it your whole life already. So when it comes to really tuning into it, it's kind of tuning into your nuance of it or your conversation of it and making sure that you're paying attention to it.
Right.
That's the biggest thing is we just don't pay attention. And all it takes is a few minutes of going unconscious, and then you're like down the rabbit hole with something.
Right.
But when you pay attention to it, you can be more attuned to it. The other benefit of this that I think is super, super important is that the energy never lies.
That's a really good one.
The energy will always tell the truth. It's kind of like it's like the numbers in a business. Like people can talk all about their growth all day long and how fast they're growing, and how, so much momentum and all this stuff. But if you don't have cash in the bank, your numbers the numbers are always going to tell the truth about that. It doesn't matter how it feels, as like the numbers will tell you the truth. Well, the energy will always tell you the truth. And so the more attuned that you can become to that in yourself and what you've already been working with, then you can make a shift much more easily. Because think about it, like energy in the subtle form is extremely malleable, but then it gets into the denser forms. The mind is more dense. Right. The emotions are kind of sticky. The physical body.
For sure. Once it gets into the physical body, you really feel it.
That's right. And it manifests as all sorts of different things in the physical body. And when they become into those more dense layers, there's more work to be done to unwind them. So that's why it's like paying attention at that subtle level to get to it and to get to the heart of it.
Yeah.
So it's paying attention to it. Like, if you were to pause, take a, couple deep breaths and just remember a situation where you felt really angry and notice, like, what does that feel like to you? What do you sense or perceive either in or around you from a detached place? Like, from a place of like, yes, I can remember what that was like, not from like, I'm in that right now, because that's going to be a little bit different for right now. But when you're a little more detached from it, you have an opportunity to just kind of observe, like, what does that feel like for you? What do you perceive? What do you sense around it? And you'll have your own language for it.
Your own language of how it feels or how you're sensing it.
Yeah, whatever those words are, the qualities of it.
The energy of anger is going to feel a certain way for each person.
Right. It doesn't change the nature of the energy. It just is like how you perceive it.
Perceive it and notice it's there.
Right. Right. Like anger energy, like we talked about, I can't remember what episode we talked about with that. Few episodes ago, but anger energy is extremely destructive, and it has a certain tone to it and a certain quality to it. Now, how you perceive that might be different, but the nature of that energy remains the same.
Yes.
Okay. When you're tuning into the qualities of it, like you have your language of it. It's one of the first things that we teach in an energy mastery class. And one of the most important parts about it for this exact reason, because you're always in energy. You're always working with energy in some way on different levels and densities and all these different things. And it's finding the language that you already have in order to use it to create more awareness and more skill in working with energy for yourself. It's one of the most powerful things. And it's opposite from what, most of those kinds of trainings are like, no, it's this. or it's that way. You know, it looks like this. It's supposed to be like that. And then what people wind up doing is adopting that language, and it's not really true to themselves, but everybody has their own way of thinking and talking about it.
Yeah, I can see where that can be confusing and even frustrating if somebody's thinking, I want to learn energy healing, and they're told it's this way, you're going to feel it this way, and they don't at all.
Yeah.
Just as in life, when someone tries to tell us how we feel or what we're sensing, and it's so different from somebody else's words.
Yeah.
Like energy is a very personal experience for each person. So I imagine if you feel the energy of anger, you're going to feel the energy of joy. You're going to feel the energy of love, of abundance. For each person, it'll have its own texture.
Yeah. And that's a great way to go about it is it doesn't take very long. You grab a little notepad and you sit down, take a few deep breaths to just quiet yourself, center yourself, and then go through some of the emotions that you experience on a regular basis. You know, what does frustration feel like? What does it feel like when you're really stubborn and stuck in an idea?
That's a sticky one for sure.
What does it feel like when you're criticizing someone? Right? What does it feel like when you're super joyful? What does it feel like when you're totally at peace and completely contented? And you can tick through all those, and you just make, it's like finding your words for the quality. Because remember, they're words, like they're labels, and they're limited in and of themselves. So don't become attached to the labels. They're just describing something. What you're really doing is kind of taking a mental snapshot of that feeling tone.
I like it because, I'm all about manifesting and creating prosperity, and our feeling and energy is such a big part of that because it's what we're putting out into the universal substance. So being able to remember and even call in the different energies when you want, that's pretty ninja.
Yeah. It really goes right to the heart of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it ultimately is a decision about what you want to be experiencing in your life.
Right. So how can our listeners use this as a way to shift or pivot if they're having a rough day, if they are in, say someone here is like in the energy of anger and they don't want to stay there?
Yeah. Well, it works for both sides of the spectrum. So there's people that aren't really necessarily so sensitive or attuned to the energy. And then there's people who are like way, way oversensitive. And the game is basically the same though. So a person who's not attuned to energy at all, they'll probably find themselves more in their head at first of, okay, I'm starting to notice the thoughts. Oh, these thoughts are kind of building and it's becoming an emotion, okay, let me check in here and see what's going on. On the other side of that, they just, like a lot of people, they just pick things up. If the person who's really sensitive then starts to go unconscious on it, then all of a sudden, without even realizing they've done it, they've adopted that as their own.
Right.
Right. And then they're feeling that way too. It's the same thing is basically just checking in. Like what is this? What is this I'm experiencing right now? Like, what is that kind of feels similar to this?
Right.
Frustration. All right. Am I frustrated about something? What would I, and more importantly, the most important question ever, what would I like to be experiencing instead? Exactly.
That's such a great way to redefine the energy or call the different energy back in.
Yeah.
To decide what you want.
Yeah.
How you want to feel.
Yeah. And tap into that energy. Okay. Right. Well, that's kind of like this. Like, let me play around with that. It's not an exact science. It is something that you can play with in your life and become more adept at shifting for yourself. For the super sensitive people, when you are attuned to that and attuned to the nuance of it, the quality of it, rather than just like, that's bad, I don't like that. That's what a lot of people, and it's understandable because it's really uncomfortable. They're just like, that's bad, I don't want it, no. And it shuts everything down. But what they don't realize is that shuts down their own flow as well, right? You don't get to just block things out and not have it affect you as well.
Exactly.
But when you become attuned to what that is, and you have an opportunity, one, to not take it on at all. And you also have an opportunity to shift that within yourself while you keep everything moving.
I love it. It's as if when you control your energy, you control your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your actions. It's really the beginning of being in control and mastering all pieces.
Yeah, truly a greater sense of mastery in your life. That's that ninja like Jedi-like quality of unshakable.
Right.
You know?
So I know that you have a training coming up that teaches people how to, well, you share more what your Energy Mastery Foundation, some of your other things are coming up.
Yeah. Energy Mastery Foundations is a live 2-day class. And it's definitely happening.
Way to go. Way to go.
Definitely doing it. It's happening in late July. If you're listening to this sometime after that, I have another class in September, and I have classes regularly to teach this.
And there's small groups, so you can feel totally safe and cared for.
Yeah. Yeah. And have a lot of space to play and experiment for yourself. Like that's part of what makes these trainings so special is when people come in, you come in with whatever you know or whatever you don't know or whatever your experience is. And it really is about helping you find your way to work with energy in your life rather than here's this and just do it this way and ultra dogmatic. Like it's not like that at all. It's very much about helping you find your way, your language, your perception of this, and just being more skillful with it in your life.
Who's it for, this kind of training?
Well, this is for anybody who really wants to have greater control over themselves and their lives. One for sure. Like if you want to have a higher level of mastery and you're interested in working in more subtle layers, then this is definitely for you. If you are already into the healing arts, or coaching.
Coaching, healing, therapy.
And want to be more skillful both with your own self-care as well as being able to work with a wider variety of people and
techniques.
Right. And different techniques. This is definitely for you. And this is also for people who want to have great health and take their health into their own hands.
I know it's certainly something we've been using throughout the whole coronavirus thing as we really buckled down. I mean, you work on yourself every day, but it really inspired me to keep my energy nice and clean.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. For something like this, when there's a virus going around, like the stronger your immune system is, then the faster your system will slough that off. Yeah. So even if you were, even if you happen to contract that virus or another one, your system will deal with it way more efficiently than somebody who doesn't have access to these tools. Because think about it, come back to it like, okay, somebody gets into a really frustrated energy. If you would imagine what it feels like to feel frustrated. Okay, in my perception, that's like a tight kind of constricted energy, and there's a force behind it of like a trying to move, but it's not quite moving, and it's like almost like an energetic constipation, right? kind of like that. That's my perception of it, right? So energetically, in frustration, things are not moving. That's accurate, like to the nature of that energy. Or there's a force of trying to get more to move that is than what is capable. And so when that happens, it adds more and more resistance into the system. So not only is there going to be a mental conversation that builds up around that of the frustration of I want, this to move and it's not, and this sucks, and that kind of thing. There's the emotional component around that, which disrupts the natural flow of energy in your body with all those things. And then there is all of the feedback that energy gets into your system. So your immune system takes a major hit. And the reason for it is because the energy can't move properly through your body
to do what it's here to do.
That's right. Your body and your immune system is beautiful and amazing, and it already knows exactly what to do. But when there's so many obstructions on a mental, emotional, physical, and energetic level, your body can't adapt as quickly as it needs to. And then you're ripe for physical illness.
Right.
And you draw that out over a long period of time, and you're just a really great place for disease to take hold.
Yeah.
It's a great environment for disease.
So for those of our listeners that want to learn more, how do they reach you?
Go to my website. That's the best place to go. You can go to nickhansinger.com/heal yourself. And if you just go to nickhansinger.com, you'll see an icon right there for it. And it'll tell you all about the class. It'll tell you, like, we work with the energy, we work with the mind, we make sure that those things are really well in sync. Huge component about this is just keeping your energy nice and clean and clear.
Yeah. Makes you look younger too.
It does. It really does. And there's so many things that this helps with. And the more skillful you become with it, the more you can take all of the reins into your hands, like greater sense of control, confidence, clarity in your life, in every sense of the word. So it's just like, it's such a beautiful way to be able to work and live in this world and to not get constantly thrown off your track and to do it in the most elegant way possible.
It's beautiful. Well, listen to your energy.
Yeah, listen to your energy.
And if you've got questions, please reach out. hello@illuminationpodcast.com. Love to hear from you. And what's our illuminated thought for today?
The illuminated thought for today is that the energy always comes first.
The energy always comes first. So if you take care of your energy, everyone, you get to handle everything else with much more ease and flow.
You'll solve 95% of the problems before they even appear.
That's great.
So
I love it.
Listen to your energy first. The energy always comes first.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everyone. We love you so much. And please feel free to share this episode with someone that you think might be interested in understanding their energy. And again, feel free to email us at hello@illuminationpodcast.com.
Namaste.
Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.